Hey, welcome back! Today we're going to look at Hungry, episode 3 of season 7. Originally airing November 21st, 1999, Hungry follows a shark man thing as he does all he can to stop his insatiable love for brains. Oh, and Mulder and Scully show up at some point to stop him, I guess. The episode begins at the Lucky Boy fast food joint in California. At least when the X-Files shot in Vancouver, they pretended it was somewhere else. Now it just feels like they've given up. Dave Mustaine pulls up, still upset over his firing from Metallica.
I'm sitting here, dude!
Sorry, we're closed.
I was here before you turned off the light.
Okay, here's the thing. Even if you did pull up just before they closed, do you really want to argue with the people who make your food? Honestly, Carrot Top had it coming. A few days later, Rob Roberts, yes, he has the same first and last name, makes his way to work. Now, the most unbelievable thing about this is the fact everyone is so friendly to one another. If you're not dropping slurs at your coworkers, are you even coworkers? Oh look, it's our two favorite customers. I hate to simp so early in a video, but holy shit, Scully. Okay, so apparently the body of Dave Mustaine was found in the trunk of his car, 10 miles away from the restaurant. And the reason why Mulder and Scully suspect someone from this chain of fast food restaurants killed a man is because they found a button. Mulder asks if everyone has their button, but as Rob points out, those buttons are only supposed to be worn on Fridays, and today's not Friday. I worked in retail. I had stupid badges I had to wear, and 9 times out of 10, I lost those things in a couple days. Doesn't make me a killer. Well, it turns out everyone has their button except for Durwood, which makes sense considering he is the devil.
I sure as hell didn't leave it on no dead guy.
I don't believe that we said the victim was male.
Why is that suspicious? He had a 50% chance of guessing whether it was a guy or a girl, yet Scully sort of takes this as if he knew the victim? Mulder and Scully kick all the employees out so they can look for evidence. Meanwhile, Rob turns on the drive-through mic so he can hear what they're talking about. Seems the victim had his brain sucked out through a small 1-inch hole in his head. Mulder thinks the brain was eaten because, well, it's Mulder. What else would he think? They find what Mulder thinks is brain matter, but Scully points out that it's just ground beef. It is a fast food restaurant after all, Mulder. Rob gets home and continues cleaning his nice white shirt. I just hate when I get pasta sauce all over mine too. Mulder shows up because I think he already knows who did it, but then gives Rob crap for how clean his place is. Look, Mulder, not everyone is a hoarder like you, okay? Rob tosses out his pasta sauce covered clothing, but oh no, he got some on his fingers. Better take care of that too. Something about this guy feels oddly familiar. Rob gets a call from some mental health professional that his work is forcing all the employees to see. Apparently having the FBI visit is so traumatizing that they think everyone needs to speak to a shrink. Hell, I've been part of an active shooter situation at one of my workplaces, and they never offered anything remotely close to this. Wait, who's this guy? Anyone else have one of those nightmares where your teeth fall out? Rob sits down to enjoy some self-help tapes and some appetite-suppressing gum. But couldn't he just eat food instead?
What?
Alright, so Rob's the monster. But did he really have to eat Mulder's stand-in? The next morning, Durwood stops by for a little visit. For some reason, he was fired. He makes it sound like he was fired for being a suspect in the case, which is kind of shitty. I mean, it was Scully who made the implication simply because Durwood said, dead guy. Durwood, however, thinks Rob did it because he found his diet pills with a nice bloody thumbprint on them. He offers to keep his mouth shut so long as he can have his VCR, TV, and whatever money he's got in the bank, which by the looks of it probably isn't much. Rob's neighbor knocks at the door and asks about the strange man that had been parked out front, to which Rob responds, I have no idea what you're talking about. Rob is about to drive off somewhere but is stopped by Mulder. Man, this kid is popular.
The dumpster had a padlock?
Yeah.
Who would have the key?
We do, and the trucking company does.
Why is this something Mulder would ask a random employee? Couldn't he ask the manager this question? Rob meets with the mental health counselor, and there's something off about her. Almost as if she's been hanging around the sewer with a bunch of mutated turtles that might also be ninjas?
What kind of a monster would do something like that?
I don't believe in monsters.
Oh, you don't, eh? Well then explain this.
Hi.
Counselor Mindy gets a phone call and it's Mulder. He somehow seems to know where Rob is at all times. Brains. Durwood comes in looking for his last check and to remind Rob that he also owes him some money. Excuse me, sir, you're not supposed to look directly into the camera. Rob breaks into Durwood's place, but right on cue, Durwood comes home. Obviously, he knows who it is, but I don't know why he would need a bat against a beanpole like Rob. A beanpole with a wig, peelable ears, and removable eyes? Oh my god, he's a chupacabra! Rob speaks with Mindy again, this time opening up about his eating disorder. I mean, most people with eating disorders binge eat or don't eat at all. They generally don't eat people's brains. Oh, don't you just hate when your ear falls off? Rob gets back home only to be cornered by Mulder and Scully. Can this kid just get 5 minutes to himself? They sit down and have a little chat about Durwood.
So you finally left Durwood. His name is Homer.
Mulder gets pretty blunt with it. He tells Rob they found what appears to be a shark tooth, and they believe that some mutant is going around and eating people's brains. Now, why would they tell Rob this?
It has a biological imperative to eat. I think it even ate that ground chuck you threw away.
I also have a biological imperative to eat, but that doesn't make me a street shark.
The evil Dr. Verano had changed 4 innocent brothers into street sharks. Join Ripster, Blaze, Jam, and Big Flamoo.
Mulder lays it on very thick that he thinks the monster is Rob, which is a complete load of horse shit. Oh right, I completely forgot. Rob decides to go to an overeater support group to help curb his cravings, but all it really seems to do is make him want those delicious brains even more. I do like how when Rob goes up to talk about his issues, he makes everyone there just salivate at the mouth. Especially when he says the word buttery, and this guy's reaction is like, oh yeah, nothing I love better than some butter. The funny part though is he's talking about human brains and they have no idea. Nice guy Rob walks his neighbor to her apartment, but I think he's developing a little crush on her. Okay, now we're just getting sloppy, Rob. They'll discover her body and be right at your doorstep within the hour, dumbass. Rob breaks his own door down and like a psychopath starts going apeshit on the place. The police and FBI show up, so Rob comes clean. Sort of. He tells them Durwood stayed late Friday night at Lucky Boy to close up, but when Rob discovered he still had the key to the dumpster, he found Durwood cleaning up a bunch of blood. Now, based off Scully's look she gives him, I don't think she believes a word he's saying. Mulder, however, seems to be more curious as to why his failed clone has gone missing.
Don't worry, Rob. Won't be long now.
Is Mulder enjoying tormenting Rob? It's pretty obvious that he knows Rob is the killer, yet he just seems to be toying with him all episode. Coincidentally, Mindy just happened to be in the area, so she figured she'd say hi. Mindy is at least worried about him because he seems to be completely on edge. You'd be on edge too if law enforcement wouldn't leave you alone for 5 minutes so you could eat brains. Mindy sees right through his act though and knows he's the killer. Not sure I'd still be standing there though when the killer shuts the front door. The police arrive after discovering his neighbor's body, which only sends Rob even further off the edge. Mindy's really gonna regret not believing in monsters now.
You poor man. What you must go through.
He's like, wait, what? This isn't how this is supposed to go. So much for that human compassion because here are Mulder and Scully with some guns. Rob decides the best thing to do is Naruto run at Mulder because he sees no other way out of his predicament. I'm glad the medical doctor just stands there as this man dies.
Why? I can't be something I'm not.
Hungry is a fine little Monster of the Week episode, though what I think makes this one stand apart from others is how we focus more on the monster than anyone else. This allows the episode to make the monster a tad more sympathetic. It's obvious he doesn't want to do the things he's doing, just unfortunately this is what he was born to do. As hard as he tries to fight his nature, by the end he realizes he can't. Though had it not been for Mindy, he likely would have continued down his murderous path. I think the way she talked to him like he was just a normal person who has no control over who they are, is what made him decide to take his own life by running at Mulder. At that point, he just couldn't accept what he was. This is basically a take on the Wolfman story. Larry Talbot was a decent man who became cursed after being attacked by a wolf. This led him to fighting the beast within, which was basically a losing battle. It's pretty much the same here with Rob. However, while this sympathetic villain angle works for this particular story, I am getting so tired of this trope being used in Hollywood. It seems like every damn movie that comes out has to make some excuse for why the villain is evil. Can we just get monsters that are evil for the sake of being evil? This is all your fault, Gilligan.
Oh, Gilligan!
So this episode exists because Vince Gilligan decided, what if we just did something completely different? According to Frank Spotnitz, Vince Gilligan's whole thing on The X-Files was trying not to repeat himself. This is the guy who gave us stuff like Drive and Tithonus, so a story about a brain-eating shark man working at a burger joint. Honestly, by that point in the series, it probably wasn't the craziest idea they had heard. Gilligan's main idea here was actually pretty simple. He wanted Mulder and Scully to be the bad guys, or at least from a certain point of view. The whole episode is basically told from the monster's perspective, and the idea was that every time Mulder and Scully show up, it's like a horror movie, which explains why Mulder feels like such a menace in this episode. He's basically the final boss showing up to ruin this poor guy's life. And the other big thing Vince wanted was to make sure the monster was sympathetic. Like, sure, he's cracking open skulls and slurping brains, but he doesn't want to. He's just built that way. Chris Carter called it a really great monster show and said it pushed the creep factor even higher, which I can't exactly agree with Chris on that one. Now, behind the scenes, this episode was kind of a mess, which is pretty standard for this show, because while they were filming this, both David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson were off doing movies. Both stars were available for just 2 days, so the production basically had to get creative. There are scenes where Mulder and Scully are together, but weren't even filmed on the same day. They used doubles, editing, and movie magic to keep it all together, which honestly makes it even funnier that Mulder feels omnipresent in this episode. It's like he's everywhere, always watching, when in reality he's barely on set. This was also actually the first episode filmed for season 7, even though it aired third, which explains why Scully's hair suddenly looks different when she just got a nice new haircut at the end of the previous episode. Now, the monster itself was a bit of a challenge too, because they didn't want him to look like a full-on creature. The makeup team had to make him look just human enough, like something was off, but you couldn't quite place it. But I don't know, this guy definitely looks like a monster to me. They used a bunch of subtle prosthetics. Forehead, nose, fake ears, contacts, all layered together to give him a creepy, almost Lovecraftian fish people kind of look. Honestly, all he needed was some gills and he'd be all set. And fun fact, Mulder's clone that gets his brain sucked out earlier, that's actually Steve Kisiak, Duchovny's stand-in, getting a rare moment on screen and immediately dying. So good for him, I guess, but at least he does get to say something for once.
What do you want?
Nothing.
But the whole episode really hinges on Rob as a character, and Gilligan's goal was to get you to actually root for him. By the end, when Mulder and Scully show up, you're supposed to be thinking, oh no, not these two, which is kind of insane when you think about it, because how could I ever not want Scully to show up? But that finale does a pretty good job selling it. You've got Rob standing there, realizing he can't control what he is, and even through those black contact lenses, you can just sort of see it in his face. He takes that moment and then just runs straight at Mulder knowing he was gonna die, which ties right back into that whole sympathetic monster angle that they were going for. Also, quick side note, Mindy the therapist, that's Judith Hoag, who played April O'Neil in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I actually didn't realize it was her until researching this episode. I guess red frizzy hair goes a long way. Now I can sort of see how Superman gets away with it. Hungry is a fine Monster of the Week episode sitting at 7.8 on IMDb. I don't find it particularly scary, but Rob is fairly likable, and I do think the monster makeup is genuinely creepy in a 30 Days of Night vampire sort of way, so I think a 7 is good. Up next, things get very interesting, as the dawning of a new millennium is just around the corner. A zombie apocalypse is set to take place, and Mulder and Scully must rely on the help of former FBI profiler Frank Black. in Millennium. So what do you guys think about Hungry? Let me know down in the comments. Anyways, folks, I hope you're all doing well and stay spooky.
Sunday. A predator.
Oh my God.
With the appetite.
What if this man's brain was eaten?
For human flesh.
Hunger is always there. And it satisfies it any way it can.
The X-Files, an all-new episode, Sunday at 9, 8 Central on Fox.
Huge thanks to all my channel members, you're the real MVPs of the Spooky Squad. Your support helps keep the lights flickering and the monsters fed. If you'd like to join up and help support the channel, check out the join button below. But no pressure, just watching and liking helps a ton too.